Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me again for another review. I am your movie guru, and this one we're going to be reviewing none other than Rambo: Last Blood. Uh, John Rambo has been an iconic figure in American cinema for quite some time now, decades. Ever since the first Rambo movie debuted in, I believe it was 1982, and this helped propel Sylvester Stallone's career, and Rambo became one of the iconic movie figures of the 80s and really went to represent, this super macho, guns blazing, type of action movie hero. So, he's kind of the archetype for the hero that goes in guns blazing and never reloads, kills like 100 enemies, is his own one-man army. uh, so that's kind of the background, the backdrop for this movie. And this is the fifth film in the series, the first three all coming out in the 80s, and then Rambo 4 actually coming out a full 20 years after Rambo 3 in 2008, and then this film coming full 11 years after that one. When Rambo 4 came out, it got a lot of criticism saying, why are you resurrecting this franchise? It was kind of going downhill, and what more do you have to say? Like, what direction can you take this film differently? And it wasn't that positively reviewed. I believe it got a 37% Rotten Tomato score, but the audiences enjoyed it pretty much. I think it got somewhere like a 68 or 69%, and I enjoyed that film. I thought it was decently done. It stayed in the vein of what the classic Rambo movies were. And you kind of knew what you were going to get if you're going to see a Rambo movie. So for me, it's one of those things where uh, as an average audience moviegoer, if you're going to see like a superhero movie, or you're going to see a James Bond film, or you're going to see a Rambo movie, like I say, this is not just an action movie. This is the quintessential arc, guy who set the archetype. So if you're going in to see that type of movie, there's certain things you're going to expect, and so you can't really complain if you get them. So I enjoyed Rambo 4. I took it for what it was, and I thought it was entertaining. And it was good to see Sylvester Stallone back in action again. That said, this one, so having seen the other four movies, having grown up uh, with the Rambo movies and the figure of John Rambo himself, in my lexicon, uh, I was for sure going to see this one. And I can say that this one is even more negatively reviewed. I believe it stands at a 28% Rotten Tomato score. But this one, I don't think the audiences have given it such a high score since actually the first Rambo. I think this one's upward to 85% of audiences enjoyed this movie. And I think a lot of that has to do with, like I said, with a Rambo movie, you know what you're going to get. There's certain elements that you expect, and people, that's gonna the audience is gonna self-select. They're gonna weed themselves out. People, like I said, there's no surprises here. So people who are interested in Rambo, people who are interested in action movies and violent movies, then they're gonna go see Rambo. People that aren't interested in that, they're not gonna go see it. So, like I said, so that's why I say these critic scores, these Rotten Tomato scores, they can be a little bit confusing. You might look at, something that, oh, hey, 80% of these viewers, gave it an 8 out of 10, or I can't know that. I don't know what they actually gave it. But just an example, you look at that and say, oh, 80% of people who saw it gave it an 8 out of 10. But you got to remember, those 80% who went to see it are Rambo fans. This is not a franchise that people don't know about. Uh, so it was a pretty long introduction but I felt it was this franchise is deserving of that. That said, now we're going to get to my views on the film. And to be honest, I was a little disappointed. I thought, so I'll start off by saying it was highly entertaining. Uh, it kept me on the edge of my seat, just because of the things that happened. And, I get excited over Rambo. I thought the action was well choreographed. I like the fight scenes. I like the battle scenes. Sylvester Stallone, say what you want about his acting, but I think he knows who Rambo is as a character. He knows who Rambo is as a person, and he plays that well. So I enjoyed that. Two big things that I don't want to say I thought were or are wrong about the film, but definitely gave me a little bit of pause. One was the film's violence. Once again, like I said, if you're going to see a Rambo film, you expect there's going to be guns and shootouts and battling armies. But I felt this one kind of took it to a new level. Even in, so if you look at the first three films, I understand those are a different era. Those were all in the 80s, so there's certain things that, to show on film, would have been completely different than in today's times when you've got shows like The Walking Dead, characters like Negan grotesquely hitting people, with barbed wire baseball bats and them destroying zombies. And you've got films like, or series like Game of Thrones where people die in, grotesque ways. So I understand, you can't really compare it to the first three. Those are in a different era. And then, but the one in 2008, I thought that one was a good blend of, okay, hey, they're a little bit more realistic. Audiences like a little bit of more realism when you're seeing their shows. They don't want to see, Rambo shoot 30 people when, there's no blood or there's no anything. They want to see, like, no, this is what some semblance of what it would actually look like. And I felt this one kind of maybe went a little bit too far with that. I think to a certain point, having the realism does enhance a film. It puts you in that setting and makes you feel like you're there. It makes you recoil. It further envelops you in a film, but to a point. And I think that a lot of the things that happen in the film, I think you could have gotten that same point without going to the detail that they do. Like I said, now that's my opinion. Some people might enjoy that even more and say, no. As much, the more they show, the more that they put on screen, the more realism they show, the more horror of what's going on that they show, that's what I want. That's what I go to see. I want to see something that I don't see in real life every day, and that's what I'm going for the film for. So, if that's your thing, then, you won't, that part won't bother you about it. But for me, like I said, I'm a big horror movie fan, so, I'm not one that's not used to gore. But just in the setting of Rambo, I didn't think they had to go to the level that they did. It definitely made for great entertainment sometimes. It definitely enhanced the shock value. But in certain respects, I thought they didn't need to go to the levels they went. The second part that I thought it was unnecessarily bleak. So anyone who knows me knows I love films that don't necessarily have happy endings, or films that have more realistic endings, or, films that show the world, as it is, or films that, have a dystopian future or some type of change. You know what I'm saying? So I have no problems with, films that don't necessarily paint a rose-colored view of the world, or, that have a happy ending just to have a happy ending. Not to say that I dislike films with happy endings, but, my point is, people who know me know that, I am perfectly fine with films that have a bleak ending. That said, it has to serve a higher purpose. You know, it has to fit with the narrative of the film or the narrative of the franchise, or, you know, they're trying to set something up for later, or they're trying to stay in true, you know, to a certain character, or, you know, of, hey, this character, you know, he's flawed, he's, you know, has these emotional issues. So, you know, it's not realistic that he's gonna get the girl at the end, because he's, you know, he's got too many problems of his own to work out. And putting him in this relationship, yeah, it would make for a happy ending, but, you know, we're going to stay true to his character, and he ends up alone. So, you know, like I said, I understand that. So if you have to do something bleak because of that, you know, that makes sense, and I support that. And I think a lot of times that makes for superior films. But in this case, I felt like, you know, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but some of the things that happen and some of the things Rambo does, you know, I just felt that was unnecessary. Once again, I feel like you could have made the same points in the film, conveyed the exact same message, without it being as bleak as it was. And, you know, to a point, I thought they were kind of just being bleak for bleak's sake, you know, kind of just saying, yeah, you know, this is Rambo. Nothing goes right for him. He doesn't get happy endings. He's torn and conflicted, you know, which, you know, I didn't think it had to be that way. It's kind of like a lot of the criticism that DC has gotten, compared to Marvel films. You know, that's perfectly fine if you want to have a more serious or more realistic universe. But if your universe is, you know, dark just for dark's sake, you know, it kind of leaves you like, you know, why are you guys going down that road? You know, it doesn't enhance anything. It doesn't add anything to it. So that said, I gave Rambo a 7 out of 10. Definitely worth seeing in theaters. I think it is entertaining. I think you'll have fun. If you are averse to violence and gore, 100% stay away from it. This is not for you. But I do think this is definitely a movie that you want to go see with friends. I think you'll have a good time. See it in theaters. Big screen, big noises, you know, big sound definitely will enhance it, you know, versus, you know, seeing it on Netflix or something. And like I said, I do think it's entertaining. Just watch it with those caveats, you know, of knowing, hey, might be a little bit bleak, and, you know, this is going to be a little violent, you know, even for Rambo's, even by his standards. But that's it. Once again, thanks you guys for watching. I really appreciate your support. Shoot me a comment. Let me know what you think about my reviews. You know, if you agree or disagree. I love debating movies. We can talk all day. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Once again, thanks you guys for watching. I hope you all have a good weekend, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.